Um, Certainly excited about the start of the season. Anxious to just see how our guys play. I thought we had a really good exhibition, played pretty well, pretty efficiently, and hopeful that we'll continue that. Really, excited to see Presbyterian. I think they have really good guards. The size of their guards is going to be challenging for us. Reddish, a big, strong kid at the point. He's 6'4" and over 200 pounds, and does a lot of things in the paint and around the basket that are problematic, rebounding as well. Harrison can really score. Freshman of the year in the league for them, 17 points a game and scores in a variety of ways. Just one of those guys that makes threes, can create his own shot. Quentin does a really good job of running a lot of unique actions for them and moving their pieces around really well. So I know he's excited about their team. It feels like they finally have gotten, some guys back with some experience. I know he's been, building the program the way he wants it. And, inside Hill and McCormick. McCormick can really shoot it, plays a couple different positions. And then Hill's kind of an undersized 5 that plays a little more like a 4 that can face you up and drive you and finish around the basket and just plays with good poise. So, excited to see again our team play and really anxious to get to the start of the season. We obviously have a bunch of games coming at us quickly. So with that, I'll take questions.
Hey, Coach, it's David Hood with TigerNet. What is maybe 1 or 2 things you feel like you've learned about your team that you didn't know 3 weeks or a month ago?
I don't know if I've learned anything like that you can point to until you actually see it in game play consistently. You're always still waiting to see. I was really happy that PJ played well in the scrimmage. He, did a nice job of finishing plays. I guess part of that, my comment to that would be, I think our guys really like each other, having been around them for a couple months. That's one thing that I've been very pleased with and jumps out is we've got a lot of new players, 3 new freshmen, 2 new transfers, and our team chemistry is good. Guys are working hard. But until we kind of see how we mesh, how we're playing together, I think you're still, as a coach, still trying to figure it out. And that's one of the things you enjoy about coaching, is that every team is a little bit unique, and this is no different this year.
Hey, Coach, it's Trevor Gross from CUTigers.com. Hunter Tyson is a guy that he had some real big offensive games last season. He shot 1 3-pointer last week. Do you need him to be a consistent scorer for you?
Well, we just need him to make the right play. I think that's really a lot of what basketball is making the right play. When you're open, we want you to shoot it. When you create a long closeout, you can shoot it or drive it. If you draw 2, then you need to pass it. And, we need to show poise while we're doing all those things, especially on offense. And, he understands what we're trying to do. I'm excited to see how he plays. He's a guy that's kind of waited his turn and had some outstanding performances last year. And I'm sure he'll have some this year. So, he's done a really good job of being a leader and, kind of rallying our team at times. And so, I'm just anxious to see how he plays and confident that he's going to, again, try to just make the right basketball play. If he does that, I think he'll have a good season.
I guess just how much patience do you feel like you have to have with this group? I mean,
yeah, you got to have some patience early on with just about every team. I mean, when you have change, and especially when you lose Amir Sims. Amir Sims for us was our go-to guy. We had Clyde Trapp that, was a 4-year player and a guy that had started for a couple years and been on a lot of good teams. And so he was very experienced. So when you lose that kind of experience, your go-to player, you got to have a little patience in terms of trying to figure it out. Your players are trying to figure it out as well. Some of them are trying to figure out their own games and you know, what they can do consistently well. And in some games that's going to be different than others. But you know, at the same time, you know, you've got to understand that these games count now. So you can't be so patient that the guys don't understand there's a sense of urgency. There's a tremendous amount of urgency now that games count. And, you know, we've got to do a good job as a staff of trying to put our guys in a good position to be successful.
Because how difficult is that to manage in terms of not wanting to have too quick of a hook, but you also want them to be able to, you know,
Yeah, it's not always about having a hook, as you call it. You know, you are trying to, you know, make sure guys are confident, but at the same time, you know, we've got 10 guys, 11 guys that we're trying to play. So sometimes it's just giving other guys opportunity. Kids don't sometimes understand that you're not always coming out because of something you did. It might be that somebody else brings something different, a different set of skills that we want to see. Maybe it's a different grouping of guys that we want to see play together. It's not always you just get taken out for a mistake. It's, you know, could be strategy. Maybe we're downsizing, maybe we're upsizing, whatever it may be. So, but yeah, it's again, as you're dealing with more new players, they're getting a feel for you as a coach as well. You know, the guys that have, the seniors that have, you know, kind of been primary players on their team, Nas and David are still working through all that here with us.
Of the newcomers, obviously, Nas, David, who else are you expecting to, at least early on, even tomorrow night, be in the flow?
Yeah, I think, I think there's a good chance they'll all play. You know, we're trying to play a lot of players. Now they've got to, you know, play well to get more minutes. And certainly you don't have quite as much confidence in your younger players as you do in your older players sometimes because you've seen it. They're a little more proven, you know, and so, you know, again, practices this time of year. I just talked to my team yesterday about it. Hey guys, like, especially you young guys, I'm evaluating your practice habits, you know, tremendously right now, trying to decide how much you get to play based on your performance in practice, what you're getting done, your efficiency. And so, you know, they understand that. And, you know, at the end of the day, you got to do what's best for the team.
Nas, based on his numbers at Youngstown, I see 6'6", 232, but in practice, does he play bigger than that? And are you envisioning, as you watch him and get to know him more in person, seeing how he can impact in the paint once you get to the ACC?
Yeah, I think he's just a kind of a jack of all trades guy. Like, he can do a lot of different things. And I think he's hopefully smart enough to read those things within the game. That's what makes you a good player, is what does the game need? What is the right play? I'm going to make the right play, whether it's drive and pass, whether it's work out of the low post, maintain spacing, could be a variety of things. He's a guy that I think has a good IQ, and you'll see him in a lot of different spots throughout the year.
I see 8.2 rebounds. I know the Horizon is physical play,
Right.
but obviously not like the ACC. Do you envision the guy 6'6"? It seems like he's got the frame that can.
Yeah, I don't know if he'll get 8 rebounds a game. You know, he won't play as much for us as he was playing at Youngstown. He was probably playing 34, 35 minutes a game. We might not have anybody play that much. I don't think we did last year. So that you know, I think you got to be a little careful just looking at the numbers. But yeah, he can rebound the ball. He's got really good hands. I think he's got a good nose for it. You don't get as many rebounds as he got without having a hunger for it and you know, a real desire to try to do that. And you know, that's something we're counting on him to do.
Coach, Trevor again. Speaking of minutes, Ian had a real good game last week, played just 12 minutes. I know you're trying to play a lot of guys in that exhibition, but you expect to see some more minutes from him?
Yeah, I think it'll depend on how he plays. But certainly he played very well last week. That was good to see. He had not played as well in one of the scrimmages, but the last couple of weeks, I think he's practiced well and it carried over to the game. So certainly there's an opportunity for him there. You know, I was really encouraged by his performance, not surprised. because he's had some days like that in practice. And, you know, I think he and Ben, those two guys are going to have to give us, you know, some good productivity coming off the bench. PJ is not a guy who's going to log, you know, 30 minutes, I don't think, very regularly. He's a guy that's going to go in and out a little bit, and those guys are going to get opportunities. So their ability to play, you know, well early will be important to our team.
Kind of going off of that, Brad, obviously, before you mentioned, you know, not necessarily knowing which starting five you wanted to play coming into the season. I guess, what did you like about the five that ran out first again in that exhibition game?
You know, I just think there was good experience, guys that know what we're trying to do, and defensively are probably a little more sound than some of the younger guys and even the new guys. And, you know, I thought they did a good job. I thought they played pretty well together. Now, you know, how does that continue? I don't know. You know, are we going to continue to play the two little guys together on a regular basis? I'm sure they'll play a lot. Is it starting? I don't know. We'll see. But I did like, you know, their approach, and I thought, you know, I thought it worked well. I think Hunter's really helped PJ. He's kind of a calming voice and an experienced player. David Collins still figuring us out a little bit, but you know, ready for the moment, ready for all that. He's played in a lot of games, so he's experienced. He's not as wide-eyed as the young guys. So it was good. I thought they played well, and you know, they'll probably be the guys this week.
When you say the two little guys, I'm sorry, you're referring to
Nick and Al.
how much, I know every player has got to find his own way. I'm sure you've seen good things out of PJ and preseason practice, so forth. What is your expectation that he can maybe do making that step from freshman?
Yeah, he'll make a big step. I think he'll, you know, he needs to for us to have a good team. You know, I think there's every guy kind of gets to that position. It's what we talked about when we recruited him. We told him as a freshman. In fact, I remember his dad telling me that I was like the only head coach that told him you probably won't start if you come to Clemson. You know, and we weren't going to change everything we were doing because of PJ at the time. We knew that he was going to need a little time, and we had an all-conference player. And so I wasn't going to change Amir Sims being an all-conference player in that situation. But what I did know is that, hey, PJ has a chance to be an all-conference player one day here. And, you know, we need him to take the next big step as a starter and a regular performer. And, you know, I'm excited for him. He's worked really hard. We've talked about how much he's done in the weight room to change his body. I think his confidence is growing, and now he's going to get opportunity. And so I'm, you know, really confident that he's going to have a solid year for us and take a major step. And, you know, there's going to be days when he's great, like he was last week. I mean, he was great. And then there's going to be days that he struggles. That's part of, you know, a young big guy that's kind of in his first year being a starter. There's a lot on him. Those guys, the point guard and the center, have to do a lot in today's game in terms of conditioning. You're running the most, you're guarding the most pick and rolls, you're probably setting the most pick and rolls. You're just involved in so much activity that, again, there's a lot on you. And those two positions in particular, they're you know, even more stress probably.
Brad, this is Larry. You've had some really good defensive teams in the past. What right now do you think this team has to do to sort of meet that standard? And what's your biggest question about this team right now, just purely from a defensive perspective?
It's a combination. You know, there's a lot of want to in defending, and it's hard. And it's, you know, it's sustaining through long possessions. It's maintaining technique when you're tired. And that's a lot of mind over matter. You know, there's, you know, that's a challenge for us with some new guys and young guys, is being as experienced. We've talked about in the past, one of the things with last year's team, we were extremely experienced. We weren't big physically, but we had older bodies, and so we could adjust and we could make a lot of changes within games. We could make adjustments that could really be helpful. I don't know if we're quite ready to do that as much now. I hope we get there at some point during the season. Right now, I don't think we are. Some of it is just, we have so many new guys that it's been a little bit taking a little longer. But I'm hopeful that'll continue to get better, just like everything, and we'll be able to make more adjustments within games.
You know, you have a shooter at Hemingway. What else is in the tank there for this year out of him? Would you see the defense improve?
Yeah, I think Alex continues to get better as a player. We thought he took a step last year as a defender. He guarded much better. He's physically bigger and stronger than when he first got here. I think he's more confident as a player. He's obviously an outstanding shooter, and his efficiency has always been really good. He's one of those guys that he doesn't need the ball a lot to do a lot of things. And, he's just very efficient when he gets it. And, he makes post feeds that are timely and finds guys when they're open. He's a guy that makes a lot of just simple plays, but does them very well, and kind of keeps the ball moving to keep your possessions going. And again, I think that's just something that he has as a knack. And obviously his 3-point shooting is a factor for us, and we need that.
Anything that's jumped out at you, Al, you probably feel like he's been here 10 years now, and for that matter, Hunter, anything about those guys, and even Hunter, been,
Yeah.
with you not playing, anything about those three?
Nothing really different. I think, just they all have to continue to raise their games. It's being really good consistently. And we've talked about this, and I remember having this discussion with Amir and some other really good players. Gabe DeVoe, as he got older, one time with a team, just like, hey, there's responsibility when you start every game and you're a double figure scorer, like you've got to get that done. Like there's a productivity that you have to have for our team to win. And, the thing in basketball is we all play offense and defense, but we don't all play the same amount of minutes. And so, offense in football can be mad at the defense. Defense can be mad at the offense. In our sport, it's more individual. It's like, hey, well, those guys are playing 28 minutes and I'm only playing 8. I don't feel as responsible, right, for the wins and losses. When you're a guy that's playing 25 plus minutes, you're responsible. And so your productivity has to meet the standard. And so it's just being consistent, understanding the consistency that you have to play with night in, night out. May not mean you're scoring 15 points every night, but if you're scoring 6 or 8, man, you better do some other things. You better have 4 assists. You might have to have 2 or 3 steals. You need 4 rebounds. Like those little guys for us, they got to get involved in other ways. We need them to help us rebound, gang rebound. And that's something that, you kind of learn. PJ is going to learn that we're going to need a certain amount of productivity now that he's, going to be a 25-minute player. We're going to need X amount of points and rebounds out of the post. And so being consistent with that is the challenge. And that's what really great players, good players do, is they're consistently performing at a high level.
Probably have time for a couple more.
Can I just follow up on that?
Yep.
And when you have that conversation with those 3 guys.
Sure.
And the natural inclination with a guy like Amir who did so many things for you is that, well, PJ has to maybe step up Hunter, but could maybe some of Amir's numbers be offset by guards, and it just looks different?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's not going to be all PJ. It's going to be a myriad of players. I mean, Hunter Tyson needs to have a bigger role and take a bigger step. And Nick Honor needs to do that. Alamir Dawes needs to do that. Guys that have played and performed well, now they just have to perform well consistently. And, there were still times last year when they did, but now there's more of an onus on your responsibility to do that. I think they all understand that comes with it. And they're excited by that.
Coach PJ said last week that he thought he'd be taking that brace off. Has he been practicing without it, or do you expect him to play without it?
He took it off just the other day, and so they've got some tape on there. I'm assuming that's what he'll play in. I don't know if he'll get a sleeve, but he took the brace off early in the week, or late last week, over the weekend, and seems to be fine so far. Yep. Anybody else?
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.